Bilal Muhammad was selling these radical DVDs as he did the rounds of markets in the north.
I don't believe I really had anything that was radical.
Considering that there might be like really young people that buy the stuff, do you think it was responsible?
I mean, it was like a full documentary. It wasn't all the way from beginning to the end like this. It was tell what's going on in the West, what the West are doing, what the West are saying, and at the same time it'll show the war-torn country in the lands of Afghanistan or Iraq. So it was all compiled together. It wasn't done just one person speaking all the way through it. It had two sides of the stories to it.
But there was one video that caused particular concern. It was found hidden in a padlocked cupboard in Ditta's room. It features an American jihadi, 31-year-old Adam Gadan, a member of Al-Qaeda.
It's a defensive war by brave, defiant Muslims of all races and nationalities against a murderous infidel aggressor.
Although Ditta denies it, according to Evan Coleman, this video is only available directly from Al-Qaeda and is not available on the internet.
They marched right up to the line where you could say they engaged in behavior that was no longer searching for information and really going into the level of a criminal conspiracy, and they danced all over that line. They engaged in behavior which in every other case comes just short of where you have an imminent threat.
I believe I may be naive, and maybe I was, somebody who, like they're saying it, curiosity, and we know what that did to the cat. You know, but in my case didn't kill it, but they ended up in prison.
Looked inside me.
In November 2007, Ditta was released after serving 2 years of a 4-year sentence for possessing information likely to be of use to terrorists. Even though he pleaded guilty, he insists that simply owning video footage does not make him a terrorist.
I don't have a clue. If you showed me any form of firearm, I couldn't clean it, I couldn't load it, I couldn't fix it if it locked up with you, I couldn't do anything to it. But yet, they classify me as a terrorist. Why? Because not only is it a case of firearms and weaponry, it's about ideas and thoughts. And once when you become too loud and you challenge the ideas and thoughts, that's when it becomes problematic for you.
Ditta received his 4-year sentence not for what he thought, but for what he possessed. Is there a danger that these new anti-terror laws give impetus to radicalisation?
Certainly the anti-terror laws have kind of reinforced that idea of a siege mentality, that we are being really picked on as a community, that this set of laws disproportionately targets our community, i.e. the Muslim community, and then it reinforces that part of your identity. And you become more insular as a community as well, because you recognise there isn't any space in the mainstream for you.
The reason why the Muslim community feels itself being targeted is because in the process of identifying the albeit small number of potential bombers, potential terrorists, the community as a whole is being watched, is being monitored, is being singled out.
I do accept the perception that you've put into me. I do accept that. We are very sensitive to the way we carry out our operations in relation to the prevention of terrorism, and are very careful to judge retrospectively how our operations have been carried out and how they've been perceived by the community. I'd like to say in West Yorkshire that for the most part the communities have viewed very positively the way that we've gone about our operations.
Bilal Muhammad also pleaded guilty and got 2 years, but he claims that many in his community believe it's wrong to brand him as a terrorist. As a result, he says he's been welcomed back with open arms.
I've lived in this community for 28 years now. I have a good relationship with the general community, especially with the Muslim community. And none of the Muslim community see me as a terrorist, to be honest with you. They all received me very good. I mean, I had flowers brought to my house. I mean, I couldn't sit with my immediate family alone for a good part of almost 3 months because of the amount of visitors who were coming back and forth, bringing me presents, money, obviously giving me support and comfort and saying everything's all right, don't worry, you didn't do anything.
But the risk that supporters of extremist Islam will turn into terrorists is real. Abdul Muttalib's failed attack confirms the potential tragedy that one young man can unleash, and he's unlikely to be the last. The police and security services cannot afford to take their eyes off Generation Jihad. A generation that is totally alienated from the values of their parents, and even more alienated from the values of wider British society. All too often we don't engage with them, and the intense targeting by the police and intelligence services only increases the anger of those who are vulnerable to radicalisation. Now, this targeting is understandable given the serious nature of the threat we face, but the danger is that we create even greater resentment that may only end in further attacks. My investigation into the roots of radicalisation began with the story of Hamad Munshi from West Yorkshire, released from prison last May. Police felt that, aged 16, Munshi was on the brink of graduating from being a supporter of terrorism to becoming an active participant. But how is a 16-year-old on a computer turned into a potential bomber? Munshi was unlucky enough to come into internet contact with this man, Abid Hussain Khan from Bradford. How was Hamad Munshi recruited?
He got into these social networking sites, he got talking to like-minded people, and Khan had access to those through his social networking site, Activian Publications. Munshi got involved into that, and obviously his thoughts were changed. His thought processes were changed, and he became involved with extremists.
To his friends and family in Bradford, Abid Khan was a normal youngster, working in a burger bar at weekends to earn a few pounds.
He used to like football, cricket, played football in school, for the school team. He's a reasonable footballer. He used to like cricket. He used to support Manchester United.
Is your son a terrorist?
No, he's not a terrorist, but you couldn't kill a fly, right?
We're not talking about killing flies.
He's not a terrorist, he's my son, right?
But Khan had a clandestine existence, running a jihadi social networking website that actively targeted young Muslims.
They're invited to join, and then they're subjected to a very singularly minded view that Al-Qaeda put out.
So Abid Khan was a sort of Al-Qaeda predator.
Yeah, he would be that sort of equivalent to, you know, a predator on the website, gets young people trapped into it.
Hamad Munshi wasn't the only young Muslim being drawn into Abid Khan's web. Khan was a key figure in a network that went way beyond West Yorkshire and even beyond Europe. Next week, I investigate how Generation Jihad has spread via the internet across the world, and how Khan and his associates plan to carry out devastating terrorist attacks across North America.